Shout out to Zenith, who's the one who requested this video. And if you guys want me to do how to make samples for your own favorite artists, just make sure that you request them in the comments below, and I'll make sure that I check them out. And without wasting time, let's jump in on FL Studio. I'm gonna be breaking down the sample that you just heard a couple seconds ago. This sample is coming on my sample library very soon, which is probably gonna be my first sample library loop kit / whatever as a producer. So I'm very excited for that. Once I finish the other ones and I have a full collection, I'm definitely gonna be dropping that, so be on the lookout for that. And just gonna show you guys how you can achieve the same results within your own DAWs or whatever, and give you some tips on how to actually go about this style, because I made some mistake myself when I started out that I'm still learning though every day. First up, when I started this thing, I first had a MIDI, even though I don't know how to play the MIDI or keys, whatever, but I had a MIDI just in case I wanted to do stuff freely as opposed to just clicking with the mouse. Okay, so I started out with Mellotron 5, which is such a cool vintage plugin, and I use strawberry flutes here. Another tip that I'm gonna give out: when you're making something vintage, old school, whatever, just try and make sure that you play longer bars. Like for 32 bars, try and play something different that only repeats every time it goes to the first bar, as opposed to every 4 bars the melody is repetitive and you do not achieve the vintage sound. It's different to trap. With trap you can do that, but with the old school thing, because they were using instruments when they were making these, so trust me with that, try and make longer bars. And I was still trying. This is probably my first vintage sound as well. So the first sound, like I said, strawberry fruits from Mellotron 5, and this is what they sound like. Yeah, it's a long bar that keeps on changing. You're still gonna hear with the whole sample. I'm sure you heard it in the beginning as well, but you try to make it have variation with it, and just don't play repetitive stuff. So yeah, the flutes, I put 2 effects on it. I had this EQ here from FabFilter, and this plugin is free. It's called Tape Cassettes. I may put the link in the description if you're really interested in downloading it. It kind of gives it that whole saturation, noise, flats, a thing, that gives it that vintage sound. So the following sound that I used was from Analog Labs 5. Here I played some keys, and the keys that I got are called evolving keys, and this is a cool plugin. It's powerful. It takes time to load sometimes, but if you have it, you can actually achieve different styles in a game, and a lot of producers are really using it. And I had to layer the keys based on the flutes or the strings that I played above on the first pattern. And I found the scale by going to helpers, and found the scale, and then I started clicking this by mouse. I didn't play this on a MIDI or anything. I was clicking on the mouse, and that's the progression, and it changes up, bro, till about I don't know, 23 bar or whatever, and then it goes back to the beginning. So for the keys, this is what they sound like with the flutes. I followed up with this Contact powerful bass. Probably every top producer uses it for anything that needs a bass guitar, and it's called Scarby Rickenbacker bass. And I started out just following the root notes of the chord progression that I played, and I had this little thing here in the beginning just to excite it a little bit, and this is what it sounds like. It's also important to kind of have these type of parts here, which just makes it go crazy. So yeah, that's what Mesh uses a lot himself, you know. That's the Rickenbacker bass, and that's what follows the progression. I just changed it up a couple of times just to make it, you know, give it that, you know, classic feeling that it needed. And then for that, on the effects, I only had this plugin here called Sausage Fretner, which just brings out the fretness and the color within any sound basically. Then after I had those three sounds, the flutes and the keys and the bass, you know, I started wanting to add, you know, stuff like a lead, and I still use Analog Labs, as you can see here, long release lead here, which is the one I used, and I played these keys here, and this is what the lead sounds like. Really, that lead is crazy, bro. You gotta check that lead out. Yeah, so once I had that, you know, I knew that was gonna be fire. But before I made the whole thing with the melodies, I had originally started with this pack here by James Clark, yeah, who's old school. This comes from Crate Volume 4, which is like a drum loop type of thing, you know. So yeah, check it out if you want to. And this is what the pack sound like. Actually, I had it very low on the mix. Once I had that, then I had, you know, the leads and the bass and the keys and the flutes. You know, I already knew the stuff was gonna work out. So yeah, this is what it sounds like together, but you already had the sample in the beginning anyway. So yeah, that's what it sounds like. And then I wanted to add a little bit more, you know, to it. So yeah, what I did is I first added this Nico Barracan one shot sound here, and which is like an ambient sound, and on it I had no effects, and this is what it sounds like. And then once I had that, I added these vocals here by Angelic Vox. Had to consolidate them and just, you know, play around with them. For the last parts, I think I had changed this. Yeah, I had to pitch the ambient, you know, sound by Nico Barragan that I used in the beginning, just to pitch it up for the end parts, just to make it, you know, a little bit more different. But other than that, it's still the bass that I used before and just the variation of it. So yeah, that's the entire thing. And once I had that entire thing, the effects that I've already showed you, I pulled up Edison, and then I recorded this whole loop. So I recorded it, and then I had to drag it as a wave into the actual project again, now that it was a wave. And then that's where I started to mess around with the pitch and stuff like that. So once I had that pitch, this is what it sounded like. There was the sample, and then I added the vocals as you had there, and did a little bit of mixing and mastering, exported it, and that was the final thing. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I already previewed it in the beginning, so I'm not gonna do it in the end. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you click the like. If you learned some things, if you want to request stuff, make sure that you hit me in a comment. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter. Peace. I'm out.